Hello and welcome to a workshop 2 in EDUT524. My name is JC Weber, and today I will be doing a mock parent-teacher interview with Mr. Dan McCloskey with regards to his first grade daughter, Victoria, in my classroom. So without further ado, we will go ahead and jump into the parent-teacher conference. Mr. McCloskey, hi. It's
Hi.
good to see you
Good to
again.
see you too.
I want to say that Victoria is an absolute joy to have in class. She is definitely a ham.
She is. She takes after her mother.
Yes, she definitely has a fun and playful side to her, and it's definitely good to see. One of the things that I also notice about Victoria is that she shares her experiences readily with us.
Yeah.
She's constantly talking about what you and your wife are doing with her. On the weekends, you're not just playing in the yard, you're going to museums, and she mentioned that you had just recently gone to a Christmas concert. So I want to thank you very much for you and your wife for giving her those experiences, because they're definitely invaluable to what we're doing here in the classroom as well. So thank you very much. She's just
my
wonderful.
pleasure. We have a lot of fun doing those things, and I think it's important to have the experiences
It
for
is.
those kids. So we'll keep doing it.
It is. And I definitely, from an educator's point of view, want to say that those experiences dovetail what we're teaching the children in the classroom with regards to not just the basic skill sets as far as, your STEM, your science, technology, engineering, math, that kind of thing, but also becoming an all-around healthy individual. So she shares those with us readily, and we want to thank you for that. But at the beginning of the year, you know that we had all the parents come in, get to know the classroom, get to know me as your child's teacher, and we sent out a questionnaire to you. And that questionnaire asked you what were three main areas of focus that you wanted to see growth, or that you wanted us to really hone in on with Victoria. And those areas of focus were continuing to strengthen reading concepts, continuing to develop social concepts in sharing and reciprocal play. I know that you had said that she sometimes tends to
She wants her own way.
take the lead a
Right.
little bit, and we wanted to see a little bit more reciprocal
Sure.
play and sharing. Continuing to develop math skill sets congruent with age appropriate standards. So, two questions. Number one, have you seen growth in these areas? And number two, what can we be doing to help continue that growth in those areas?
Sure. I think initially with her reading, we know that she enjoys the act of reading. She enjoys books. She enjoys being read to, and so we noticed that, and as young as she is, it's to be expected that she was very when she would read, it was very choppy and very very normal for a kindergartner going into first grade, how they would read. So it was a focus on improving her fluency and being able to look at a word and look at a sentence and read it with inflection, and to be able to understand the text that she was reading, and comprehend it, so she wasn't just blowing through a page, reading it, and then forgetting what she had written or what she had just read. So I think the focus was on improving that skill set and having her better understand the mechanics and how reading works, and then carry it on to really encourage that love of reading that's so important in education.
Okay. Okay. As far as continuing to develop social concepts and sharing and reciprocal play, how do you feel about
I think that she certainly has or enjoys taking a leadership role, sometimes to her detriment when it comes to her peers. She certainly, if allowed, will we'll try to take over a play session with friends. So to better prepare her for maybe group activities and utilizing other people's perspectives, and being able to understand that it doesn't always have to be her way or the highway is certainly an important part of that development.
Okay. With regard to math, continuing to develop math skill sets congruent with age-appropriate standards, how do you feel that she's progressing towards that?
I think she can still certainly use some work. You know, math has always been a touchy issue for my family and myself. So in order to better prepare her for her educational career, and make sure that she understands, has a good foundation for mathematical concepts, being able to build as she moves forward is very important. In the beginning, we're talking about being able to count by two and count by five, and understand those basic concepts. I'd like to see her improve in her addition. We work on addition in the car, and we've started to work on some subtraction, and since her sister's a couple of years older, we work on a little bit of multiplication, and she's very interested in mimicking her sister and understanding that. So she has a desire. It's just making sure that the foundational things are there in order to allow her to understand what she's doing once she gets into higher levels.
Okay. Okay. And we'll definitely touch upon these a little bit more throughout our conversation. I do want to share with you initially, you received back in the fall a letter from our city school district, the parent guide to progress reports for kindergarten through grades 5. And obviously your daughter being in grade 1, where she needs to fall as far as her progress is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions regarding this as far as the clarity of it, where she really kind of needs to fall, especially with regards to MAP testing and the state and nationwide assessments that these students are exposed to?
I don't think I have a whole lot of questions.
Okay.
I think I understand that this initial test sets the baseline for the balance of the year, and gives a good comparison from where she started to where she'll be in the spring, and so we can certainly see that snapshot of where she is today, and look forward to comparing it to where she'll be in the future.
Right, right. And I definitely want to impress upon you, and we're kind of skipping past the progress reports, but we did send out the progress report to you, straight to the MAP assessment, which you also received a letter in October of 2017 with regards to how she did on that first fall MAP assessment. But I do want to impress upon you, and I think you understand, that these assessments are just that. They are snapshots in time that represent benchmarks and not necessarily engraved numbers to which they are beholden to. So yes, I want to tell you right now, as far as the MAP test is concerned, Natalie, and you did receive your MAP test.
Yep.
So you did see that. But Natalie's doing really well, or excuse me, Victoria's doing really well. As far as her reading, she is in the 76th percentile. And as far as her math, she's in the 69th percentile. So she is well above average in both her reading and her math comprehension. So she's doing really well. So she's hitting these growth areas that you had expressed interest in at the beginning of the year. She definitely is continuing just to strengthen her reading concepts. I will give you a list of sight words that we're working on right now. By the end of the year, the children are all expected to realize over 75% of 200 sight words. And she is well on her way to doing We send these lists home every single week so that you can take a look at what we're doing in school. And of course, you definitely can email me or call me. I know we send out the weekly email letter. So if you ever have any questions as far as what we're doing with regards to the sight words on a weekly basis, you can definitely correspond with me. But she's well on her way to meeting that. She understands these words. I do encourage you when we send these home on a weekly basis just to go over them. If she's slow to understand them, we do have different technological applications and/or just hardcover applications that we can work with you at home so that you can work with your child at home to get up to speed. But she's well on her way to understanding these. So Victoria's doing a really good job as far as her sight words are concerned. With regard to her reading concepts and whatnot, it's still a little choppy. I know that her previous kindergarten teacher had talked about working on still touching underneath every single letter. She is working away from that, which is what we are working toward in first grade. One of the things that she is still doing that we notice is that she's reading what she wants to read, not what necessarily is there. So we're encouraging at home 20 minutes of reading per night. And I know that she's been somewhat reticent to that. She's come back with her reading log that we send. And sometimes she has read 20 minutes and sometimes she has not. One of the things that I've told her is this is something that Mrs. Weber is asking you to do, which seems to be a motivation for Victoria. Sometimes there are different motivations, but this is one that seems to resonate. Do you agree?
Yeah. I think as far as the list of words is concerned, she will typically bring those lists home and she cuts the words out and we utilize them as flashcards.
Okay.
And she's the lists that have come home thus far, she has been able to identify the words and has been able to, without overdoing the sounding out and she's been able to look at those words and give an answer in a fairly quick order. She does tend to make up words in her stories. I think she's trying to get ahead of where she's at in the story and be kind of a pleaser that she's reading to whoever she's reading to, and we will often stop her and say, okay, let's go back and reread that sentence and look for the word that we missed or look for the words that you changed. So it's.
And one of the things that we utilize in our classroom, and I can tell you that may lend itself to that style of reading, is it's a dialogic reading. Dialogic reading is encouraging the student to look at the illustrations and to ask questions of the student regarding the context versus reading the actual words on the page so that they can understand the story in a more clear manner. That being said, yes, I agree that, just have her slow down a little bit. But one of the things that we can definitely encourage is that definite 20 minutes of reading per night at home. So that when we take the book back, because we read, as you know, we send a book home every single night, but that book is being read at least 2 times every single day. So the student is being exposed to those words on that page at least 3 times per day, per week.
Right.
So, and of course, the 5 days of the week. So I think she's on track with that. But just encourage her to slow down a little bit and to stick with it as far as constant 20 minutes per night is concerned. So I think she's really good as far as her reading. With regards to her writing, here's an example that she sent to her mother. And again, you can see that we're still encouraging just phonomic awareness. We're not necessarily encouraging, correct spelling at this age. You can see that she's working on sentence construction with regards to her capital letters, to her punctuation. You can definitely see in this that although not everything is necessarily spelled correctly, which we're not necessarily concerned at this age, that her sentence structure and her sentences are true to point.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that she's doing a very good job as far as her writing is concerned. One thing as far as her writing that you can do at home, I want to go ahead and give this to you. This is letter formation as far as unlined paper is concerned, and it's very detailed with regards to how to encourage your child to form these letters. And we do work on these letters. We focus on a letter per week. And we're encouraging both upper and lowercase. Definitely encourage you to do that at home. I know that I've showed you examples of her writing in this, as well as her writer's workshop. You see in our newsletter every week that we continue in writer's workshop to get more and more detailed with regards to their writing. It may seem rudimentary to you, but for these kids, 6 and 7 years of age, they are really, really working hard as far as their skill sets to develop this habit of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And we encourage that at home as well. Does she do any writing at home?
She very much enjoys it.
Okay. What does she do?
You know, she has a couple of journals and notebooks that she'll, write in and work on, stories with her friends and that kind of thing. So it's interesting to see her developing her storytelling in written form. She certainly has quite the imagination, and being able to put that down, put her thoughts down on paper, and develop those ideas is kind of a neat thing to watch, a neat thing to see. So.
Okay. Do you have any concerns with regards to what we're doing in the classroom and what you can be doing at home to encourage this skill set?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're on the same page as far as practicing and developing a permanency and a fluency to the understanding of the letters and what they mean, the sounds that they make, and the phonetics and all of that good stuff.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and continue to work on what we outline, like I said, on a weekly basis as far as our newsletter is concerned. If you have any concerns, questions, or whatnot, feel free to reach out to myself. And again, I think she's on track. As far as her reading is concerned, her assessment scores are in good shape. What I'm seeing in the classroom and what I'm seeing as far as her reports are very, very good. So I'm not seeing any major issues here. With regards to math, I want to go ahead and give you, I'm sorry, I wanted to go ahead and jump back very quickly. I wanted to give you some helpful hints for writing with your child.
Okay.
I know that, again, she's doing a fair amount of writing as far as her journals are concerned and whatnot, but these are just some helpful hints as far as letting your child write how she feels comfortable, praising her when she attempts writing. Again, don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about, complete proper sentence structure. We want to see a formation of that at this age. So if you have any questions with regards to this, go ahead and let me know. So yes, moving along to math. Again, as far as her assessment scores are concerned, she's doing very, very well at a 69% assessment. She's above average. And she's doing very, very well in the classroom. I wanted to give you an example here. Right now, this is her test 4 prep, subtraction facts to 10. And the way that we structure our tests is that the students are tested on basic, application, and novel concepts. Basic are concepts that we have been teaching in the classroom. Application are concepts that are not necessarily taught in the classroom, but they are able to take those concepts and apply them to the problem that they are seeing on the page. Novel are questions that they have not been exposed to, but we want to see if they can take their application knowledge and apply it to these novel questions. So for example, on this particular test, she scored a 19 out of 25. She had 2 out of 2 basic, 7 out of 19 application, and then 0 out of 4 novel. Again, don't want you to get too concerned with not necessarily being able to apply the application concepts and the basic concepts to the novel questions. If you take a look, we're still working on number bonds, which she's doing very, very well at. One of the things as far as her novel that she was unable to answer correctly is what is the same as 3 plus 5. If we had asked, that question in a different manner, she may have been able to answer it differently. But it's just still working on those application type questions. So she's doing very, very well as far as math is concerned. What are your thoughts as far as her progress? I know that, like you said, you wanted to continue to develop math skill sets congruent with age appropriate standards. What are your thoughts on how she's doing?
Um, I think that she's doing fairly well. I know that she practices her number bonds fairly frequently. There's pages and pages of them at home. I'd certainly like to see her better develop those novel concepts, and once again gain fluency in the mathematics, and build that foundation to understand those concepts and help her stretch a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll continue to work with her on applying those concepts elsewhere and elsewise.
Okay. One of the things I can tell you that would help at home is number one, just working much like you would do with sight words. I know that, in kindergarten, it was definitely encouraged for you to encourage your child to look at signs such as McDonald's or, whatnot. I would, ask that you do that with math as well. In everyday cooking. Okay, I'm gonna make an omelet with 6 eggs. I've already put 3 in there. How many more do I need? How many more do I have? So really utilize just everyday scenarios to encourage these basic math concepts. Another thing that's been very, very helpful, 2 other technical applications that have been very, very helpful to our students. Number one is an application called Extra Math. I want to give you extra information on that for Victoria. It's a program that increases basic speed and accuracy with regards to fluency in basic concepts. I know that one of the things that I hold dear to is practice makes permanent. So the more the student practices, the more permanent that subject matter becomes. So this is how you get to the website, and this is her personal login information should you wish to do it. And it is complete with parent access information. So obviously the student can't log on without the information from the parent, but it's total transparency for the parent as well. I also encourage all parents to sit with their students while they are practicing this. I realize it seems like a moot point when you're dealing with a 6 and 7-year-old sitting in front of a computer screen, but you would be surprised how many parents say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and send this to you and I'll review your answers later. As much parent child interaction as possible will help me as an educator. I will also have access to this, and I can take a look at this and monitor her progress on a regular basis so that we can work together to go ahead and meet that goal that you had set forth at the beginning of the year. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to review it. And again, you can talk to me about that. That's one of the things that we utilize as an extension of the classroom into the home. We definitely encourage parents being first teachers, with educators obviously being the second, and then of course the classroom itself being the third. The other application is something that our school system has bought a subscription to, and it's a website called frontweed.com. And it pre-tests in 6 different math domains. Now, all of these domains is not going to be age appropriate to Victoria. However, if you use it about 3 to 4 times a week, it's going to have the same type of effect as extra math. That practice makes permanent. Definitely encourage you to take a look at this website. This is the username and password that we use for our students. And once you take a look at that, if you have any questions, let me know. But that's definitely going to help Victoria, with regards to her progress as far as math is concerned. Do you have any questions regarding that?
No, I don't.
Okay. So that's how she's doing in the basics. That's how she's doing in reading and math. Now let's go ahead and talk about how she is as a wonderful young lady. I've gone ahead and I've outlined her strengths and her weaknesses, things that we see in the classroom. Her areas of strength is, again, she shares great experiences, which I think definitely lends itself to her social nature. She's like we said, she's extremely social. Um, she's definitely an excellent illustrator. I've given you some examples of that in her writer's workshop, as well as some of the artwork that's been sent home with you. She loves to learn. She loves to learn. And from what I gather, her older sister is kind of the same way. Yeah.
Very much. Yeah. Older sister's very into books, very into reading. So, there's as much as you hate to do it, there's a little bit of a comparison and trying to work with each child and realizing each other's strengths and weaknesses and trying to say, well, let's improve this because your sister's good at it. So there's a little bit of there's a little sibling rivalry that goes on as well, as far as the older one excelling in certain things, and Victoria is very interested in meeting her sister and kind of a competitive nature between the two of them to learn. So.
And that's that kind of goes with the territory. Again, as you know, as a parent, one of the things that we definitely encourage is the autonomy of learning. But yeah, she loves to learn, and she actually, as you had stated here, as far as continuing to share and develop reciprocal play, she works very independently as far as her reading and her writing and her math. I mean, it's all on track. But what we are noticing with her is that she is amenable to inviting other groups of people into her academic and social life in a much less domineering way. So rather than wanting to command the situation, I'll give you an example. We were on the playground a couple of weeks ago, and they were all playing a game. I'm not necessarily sure. I'm not just, a lot of times they make up the games. But we had noticed that Natalie was relinquishing control a little bit, and she was trying to let others put their 2 cents in, and they were all collaboratively making this game up as they went. Are you noticing that that's happening in your home life as well? And do you have any ideas of what's attributing to that?
I think there's an influx of kids in the neighborhood, so she's been forced to accept other kids' point of view. Otherwise she's going to be playing by herself a lot. So there might be a bit of that going on, and a bit of that learning where she's starting to allow others to direct whatever activity they're doing.
Okay. Well, that can only help us at school. She's, like I said, she works very well independently, but she is starting to work much better in social situations. So those are some definite areas of strength. Some areas of improvement, things that we've noticed. She's very oral. She tends to bite her hair. She tends to, put things in her mouth. I mean, I'm not just articles of clothing, but entire bracelets and whatnot. And as much as we work on redirecting her, we just want to let you know about that. Have you noticed that at home?
To some degree, but nothing that I've found terribly concerning.
Okay.
I don't think I have noticed her losing attention in anything because she's got something in her mouth.
Well, I will tell you that it does tend to be a bit of a distraction in the classroom, and I can understand that it's a little bit different at home because you're dealing with what you said, one other daughter, and you're not necessarily in an academic setting all the time. But when you're dealing with a child in a group setting, such as circle time or whatnot, it can be distracting to both her and the other children. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And maybe we can work on, as far as redirection, we politely say, Natalie, we don't have those things in our mouth, or Victoria, we don't have those things in our mouth, and we, if we notice any loose jewelry on her or whatnot, we encourage her to take that off at the beginning of the day, and she can put it back on at the end of the day. So, possibly eliminating loose jewelry or whatnot could break that habit a little bit.
Yep.
And again, as you know, she sometimes gets a little bit distracted, be it with some of her oral fixations or just the world around her. She's very curious. She likes to see what's going on, so she tends to get distracted a little bit easily. What we've been doing is just trying to rein her in quietly, and it tends to be working. Do you find that at home as well?
Yeah, there's oftentimes that she's the last one ready for any task that we're going to be doing. Having to tell her to do things a few times in order to get her off the stick and moving. I certainly think that it's we're working towards improving her listening and calls to action, getting her to move the first time rather than the fifth time. So
okay. And she's definitely getting better in that respect. So thank you for working on that at home as well. She's definitely getting better at listening and taking direction and redirection the first and second time versus third, fourth, fifth. She's a very free spirit, and she tends to want to do what she wants to do.
Yep.
And yeah, okay. So thank you very much for working with her on that. Some of the things, like I told you, that we're working on at school, we're working on reading, retelling, the beginning, the middle, of the end. Definitely encourage you. We're doing that in our writing journals. We're doing that with regards to recall as far as our reading, our books are concerned. Writing, we're working on adding more details and using correct punctuation, as you can see in the writing samples that I've given you. Spelling the sight words correctly. But again, that's not one of the main focuses at this time, at this stage, but we are working toward that. As she moves into second, third grade, that's going to become much more important. Digraphs, her consonant clusters, her vowel sounds. We worked on a vowel sound song that she said that she sang to you, especially during bath time. Were you taken aback by that? Is that something we can help you with?
No, I think if we can continue to teach her in song, that's certainly something that she's very interested in, and there isn't a time when the kid doesn't seem to be singing. So anytime that we have the opportunity to teach her through whatever attracts her, then.
Are you a musical family?
Some of us are.
Okay.
And so, we certainly do our fair bit of singing and musical play and listening to music and that kind of thing. So.
Okay.
We'll keep going with that.
Okay. And again, in Writer's Workshop, we're working on nonfiction writing. With regards to math, we're working on the higher numbers, more challenging numbers, so we continue to ask you to work on these applications. And then what you can do at home, as we've said, just keep giving her a lot of great experiences, which you and your wife apparently are definitely doing. Those experiences, although they may seem trivial with regards to, again, the basic academic nature of school, just lend themselves to being an absolutely wonderful, well-rounded individual. And keep reading to her each night, 20 minutes a night. And then, with writing, I definitely encourage you to have her get involved in writing in real-life scenarios. Grocery lists, letters to relatives. I know that she's in... what did she say she was in? Is she in Girl Scouts? Okay. Any kind of Girl Scout letters or lists that she has to make for Girl Scouts or something along those lines would be definitely encouraging. So, All in all, Natalie's a wonderful young lady. She's great to work with. She's a joy to have in class. She's a wonderful free spirit. So, do you have any questions or concerns for me? What I can be doing better to better serve your needs for your daughter?
No, I don't think so. I think the things that we've covered here are good starting points for us, and and good ways to continue to develop her and what she's learning in the classroom, and to make sure that that teacher parent partnership is there to continue her development.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. McCloskey. I appreciate meeting with
Thank
you
you.
today. And Victoria is a wonderful joy to have in class.
All right,
Thank you.